belief. In most religious or spiritual systems, belief is treated as sacred, a fixed truth that must be accepted and upheld. But in Chaos Magic, belief is not sacred. It's a tool, something you can consciously choose, use for a specific purpose, and discard when it's no longer useful. This concept is one of the foundational pillars of Chaos Magic philosophy. You can choose to believe in God, spirits, psychological archetypes, or even fictional characters like superheroes, whatever helps you generate results. Once it works, you can drop that belief and move on to another. This works because the subconscious mind responds powerfully to belief. When you fully believe something, even temporarily, it shapes your perceptions, influences your energy, and helps manifest your intent. The phrase "nothing is true, everything is permitted" is one of the most iconic and misunderstood mottos in Chaos Magic. At first glance, it might sound like a license for lawlessness or nihilism, but in the context of magic, it's something much deeper. It means that there are no absolute truths in the universe, only models, belief systems, and perceptions. All of them are subjective, and all of them can be useful, depending on how and when they're applied. In other words, no single spiritual system, scientific worldview, or moral code holds a monopoly on truth. Instead of being locked into one framework, chaos magicians recognize that every belief system is just a lens, a way to interpret reality, and they are free to choose whichever lens serves their intent. If something works, it's valid. If it stops working, discard it and try another. The second part of the phrase, "everything is permitted," speaks to the idea that you are your own authority. You're not bound by old rules, ancient gods, or societal expectations. You create your own magical system, draw your own symbols, and invent your own rituals if needed. This doesn't mean anything goes without consequence. It means you take full responsibility for your reality, your ethics, and your outcomes. Gnosis. In Chaos Magic, Gnosis refers to a specific altered state of consciousness used to cast spells and implant magical intent deep into the subconscious. It's about reaching a mental state where the chatter of the conscious mind is silenced. In this quiet, focused state, magical energy bypasses the rational filter and slips directly into the subconscious, which is where true change begins. Gnosis is essential for practices like Sigil Magic, where a desire is charged during a moment of intense focus or emotional release. There are many ways to achieve Gnosis, and chaos magicians are encouraged to experiment to find what works best for them. The most common techniques fall into two categories: inhibitory and excitatory. Inhibitory Gnosis is achieved through stillness, meditation, breath control, or sensory deprivation, calming the mind until only the magical intent remains. Excitatory Gnosis, on the other hand, involves raising intense energy through dance, pain, drumming, chanting, orgasm, or extreme emotion, pushing the mind into a momentary state of overload that clears thought and creates a gateway for magical programming. What makes Gnosis powerful is its ability to make the magician fully present and singularly focused, even if only for a few seconds. In that moment, the mind becomes a clean slate and the magical intention can be planted like a seed. That's why Chaos Magic often emphasizes doing less ritual and more focused intent, because Gnosis is the engine that drives effective results. Sigil Magic. A sigil is a symbol created from a written intention. Essentially, it's a way to disguise your will in an abstract form, so it can bypass your conscious mind and be planted into the subconscious. The process typically begins by writing down a clear statement of intent, such as, "I attract financial abundance," then removing repeating letters and rearranging the remaining ones into a unique symbol. This custom symbol becomes the sigil, a magical container for your desire. But creating the sigil is only half the process. The real power comes when the sigil is charged, usually during a state of Gnosis. In that moment of focused intensity, the sigil is imprinted deep into the psyche, where it begins to work behind the scene. The final step is forgetting. Once the sigil is charged, the magician intentionally lets go of the desire, forgetting the meaning behind the symbol and avoiding conscious obsession over the outcome. This forgetting is crucial because it prevents the rational mind from interfering with the process. The idea is that the subconscious will now work to manifest the desire without being blocked by doubt, resistance, or overthinking. Paradigm shifting. In Chaos Magic, Paradigm shifting is the practice of moving fluidly between different belief systems or paradigms depending on what best serves your magical goal. A paradigm could be anything: ancient mythology, scientific rationalism, angelic systems, pop culture, psychological models, or even something entirely made up. This ability to shift paradigms at will is one of the most liberating and powerful aspects of chaos magic. It allows the magician to tap into any symbolic system and draw energy from it, regardless of cultural or historical origin. It also avoids the limitations of traditional systems that demand faith, obedience, or consistency. Paradigm shifting trains the mind to become flexible, imaginative, and psychologically adaptable, all of which are essential traits for effective magic. Servitors. A servitor is a magical entity created by the magician to carry out specific tasks. Unlike spirits or deities that are believed to exist independently, servitors are constructed intentionally programmed thought forms or energy constructs designed to perform a purpose, like protection, motivation, creativity, or influencing events. Think of them as custom-built spiritual assistants crafted from your own intent and given symbolic life. You create a servitor by defining its function, giving it a name, personality traits, and even a sigil or symbol to represent it. Through ritual and focus, you then charge it with energy and release it to do its work. The power of servitors lies in the idea that focused intention and belief can generate independent psychic momentum. Over time, a well-made servitor can seem to take on a life of its own, responding to commands, influencing outcomes, and evolving in behavior. However, because it was created by you, it remains under your control and can be reabsorbed or dismantled once its job is done. Anti-dogma. One of the defining features of chaos magic is its anti-dogma attitude, a rejection of rigid rules, sacred traditions, and unquestioned truths. While most magical systems are built on layers of ancient doctrine, initiatory paths, and strict moral codes, chaos magic throws all that out the window. Instead, it embraces a flexible, experimental approach where personal experience matters more than tradition. This rejection of dogma isn't about disrespect. It's about avoiding stagnation, blind faith, and magical elitism. This mindset keeps the work alive, evolving, and grounded in personal truth rather than tradition or authority. Inner knowing. In chaos magic, inner knowing refers to the deep intuitive understanding that arises from personal experience rather than external teachings, often accessed through Gnosis meditation, trance states, or even trial and error experimentation. Unlike conventional spiritual systems that rely on sacred texts or gurus to define what's real or valid, chaos magic places trust in the magician's own insight. If something works for you, if it feels right on a gut, energetic, or subconscious level, then it's considered meaningful and effective. Inner knowing empowers the magician to navigate multiple paradigms, test various systems, and discard what doesn't resonate, all without guilt or fear of getting it wrong.